Storygram Network.
Hello, we are the Sonoma Community Center podcast, a place of creativity, connection, and community. We highlight the artists, teachers, and the community that come through the doors of our historic brick building, often called the heart of Sonoma. We share local tips and shout-outs to our home, Sonoma Valley. And we are your hosts, Molly Spencer.
Gerardo Diaz.
We are the engagement team of the Sonoma Community Center. Well, hello, Gerardo.
Molly, it's been a while. What, like a week?
I know, we're really on it. We're recording again.
Before it was like 3 weeks without a recording. Now it's like every week now.
Well, a little thing like Trashion. Well, we're just catching up. And by the time this comes out, we'll probably be around the beginning of June. So all sorts of things. Before we launch and invite our guest, Nao Kobayashi. Now, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Welcome. And I just want to share a little bit about what's happening here this summer at the community center.
So many things are happening.
So many things. So we have, a ton of stuff. We have Summers at the Center. And what that is every Thursday night, we decided that we need to throw a party or a big expanded class.
Who decided this?
you know who decided this. Our lovely executive director, Vanessa.
The party people.
Yeah, the party people. It looks really fantastic. There's a big lineup, and it's all up on our website. We're looking at where you can buy season passes, which is actually a really incredible deal for $300. There's over 8 classes. We're starting off on June 6th with Brushes and Beats.
Wow.
DJ, and I believe our lovely bilingual painter, Jose Martinez.
Oh, nice. I like that guy.
Following next Thursday, Cocktails and Competition. I don't know what the competition part is, but I hear little snippets of everything. On the 20th, which is summer solstice, we'll be line dancing with our very fun line dancers, a hometown hoedown. 27th, we have our big Kobani Jazz Project concert, which is back from last year. That's a really fun dance party.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Are you cooking pizzas or anything that day? Not sure.
I haven't heard.
They always like to ask you last.
Yeah.
Oh, you're cooking every Thursday.
2 hours before, it's like, you're cooking pizzas, right? What's going on here?
I love it. Follow it up the next week. Clay and Chardonnay, ceramics hand building, Bellinis and birdhouses, margaritas and Mexican ceviche on the July 25th, which yours truly, you're the ceviche. That's your class, right?
Yeah, that's my class. Yeah.
Wow. And margaritas?
Like
your margarita machine?
Yeah.
I knew it. We're talking like 80s slushy margaritas.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it.
That'll be good.
Mamma Mia sing-along into August, right before the kids go back to school. Very family-friendly. Brushes and Beats again, August 15th. August 22nd, looking forward to this. Salsa dancing and sangria. Followed at the end on August 29th. I know I'm going to butcher it, but my Lord, I love their music. Braulo. Oh, they added more to their name. Con Kimba.
He has a different band, I think.
Oh, okay.
So last time it was like Somos El Son, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
So now there's another group with another name.
It doesn't matter. That is like the best dance party. And so they are back. That's going to be really fun Thursday nights here at Summers at the Center.
Costa Tacos?
I think Costa's was there last year. I hope they're here again this year.
Yeah, I think they are.
I really thought Costa's Tacos, our unofficial non-sponsor of the Sonoma Community Center podcast.
I'm trying to get a paella too. The paella guy, remember I told you?
Oh,
so
exciting.
I'm trying to get in one of those events, though, like a pop-up.
I agree. So lots happening, other workshops happening. We have the Birdcage Experience, which is on June 8th, and it's almost sold out.
Almost sold out, guys.
This is in celebration of LGBTQ Pride Month. And yeah, I think it is sold out, taking place in Secret Garden with drag queens. You know, I'll be there.
Yeah, that event inspired me. It was inspired by actually Lisa Lovagetto because she does that night, the big night, or what was it called?
We kicked it off earlier this year with kind of the big night theme.
Yeah,
Big Night,
so
the movie.
when I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that's really cool, And then I thought about my favorite movie is The Birdcage by Robert Williams.
With Robin Williams, yes. Uh-huh.
So and I thought, oh, we should do that.
Well, you also did Lady and the Tramp.
Yes, I did.
So these are very popular kind of movie/food thing-alongs, but the Birdcage experience needs to be all of that. So without drag queens, I'm so excited. This has to happen. So
it's gonna be, and this thing wasn't happening if it wasn't for Kat helping me too. Kat Smith. Yep.
We love Kat Smith.
Big part of this
she's really
event,
helping, and the whole team in the office. Maya is really doing a lot of legwork as well.
And then all these sponsors that we have too. That come up. So
exactly.
I don't have the name. Kat has the name, but I can name a few.
I can't tell you. Music in Place is a big sponsor of many of our musical concerts. So we appreciate them. And I know that they'll be starting actually, I think maybe this Sunday through the summer, free in the amphitheater. Many concerts happening down there by Music in Place.
What's Manuel's last name?
Manuel Merrill. Oh my gosh, he'll kill me if I say this wrong. But Manuel is a big sponsor of the Birdcage.
Big sponsor of the Birdcage. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for him, I was thinking not doing it because we are bringing a big name on our menu. The guy who's cooking, Kyle. So
Chef Kyle.
Yeah. So we needed that sponsor money, and he came up, and I was really happy. So if it wasn't for Manuel either,
well.
He's a character.
And he loves to put on a good party.
Yes. Shout out to Manuel.
Join us for anything 2024 happening here this summer, including we will wrap around to a couple of upcoming workshops. But I want to bring on Nao Kobayashi, who I just met out of nowhere 3 months ago. I think it was in February. And we were doing a Trashion Fashion open house. I wouldn't say open house, but it was the first one with Margaret Hatcher, who started Trashion Fashion, inviting the public to work on their costumes, kind of get a handle of what is Trashion and this whole process. And you walk in with these incredible drawings, this whole procession of what you want to do with folks. Usually people submit maybe one outfit. Sometimes they'll submit 2 outfits for Trashion. And you had a whole concept. Yeah, you had a concept, really more of a performance piece that you wanted to put on. And I said, why not? Which ended
up... You're very inviting.
Because I love this kind of stuff. Why not mix it up a little bit? And in the long run, the piece, which at the time was called Goddess, right?
I think it was, originally called, or around that time, or Goddess Project or something.
And ultimately, and I know you weren't in it for any competition or winning, it's really just self-expression and onto a bigger, hopefully, performance here. But it won the Vicky Soulier first most theatrical award. And it was a really nice grounding experience in the middle of sometimes a pretty upbeat, chaotic show and long one. So we'll talk a little bit about the Trashion outfit and how incredible that was and really break down some of the materials and stuff. I'm just real quick going to read the bio directly. I don't usually do this, but I did because I have a lot of questions here. So I'm going to read your bio from your website and maybe we'll take a time machine back.
I know mine is quite mysterious.
You have a lot. Now designs and fabricates puppets and costumes for TV, film, theater, museums, institutes, and more. Originally from Japan and recently in Northern California, she holds an MFA in costume design and technology in theater, TV, film from San Diego State, a BA in technical theater from Sonoma State, and over the past decade, she has worked on various projects with dance, theater, fashion, entertainment companies, art projects with independent artists, dancers, musicians, performers in Japan, and artists from other countries.
I know, a lot.
Right?
I know.
So let's go way back. Born in Japan?
Yes, I am.
What part of Japan?
Right now, I'm from Fukuoka, which is very south side of Japan.
Okay.
Closer to South Korea than Tokyo, actually.
Okay. Wow. And what was family life like? Do you have siblings? What were parents like?
My father is actually an engineer.
Okay.
Computer engineering, which is very different from art. But he was very supportive about art because something about hands-on things and you think about things. Those are very connected well with art and engineering. So
Yes.
That's my family background.
Your family background. And do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have a sister 8 years younger than me. So it's almost like, one child and one child.
Yes.
kind of
and
things.
Does she still live in Japan?
She's still in Japan. She once went to Sweden for exchange. And now she's a metalsmith artist in Japan.
Well, you guys have taken some pretty diverse paths, but that is cool.
Interesting side.
Yeah, metalsmith, like in more of a practical world, or sculptor?
It's a little bit somewhere between sculptor and not exactly jewelry making, because she doesn't want to be called a jewelry maker, but she wants to hands-on big work. So I think she's making little smaller scale sculptures right now.
Ooh, and I know your little soft puppet sculptures as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
we
I
do
can see the
3-dimensional.
You need a 3-dimensional show, the both of you. It'll be like Haley, her and her sister, our last ceramics artist. She has a twin sister that's in the...
interesting.
They've had several shows together. So you're in Japan. When did you come out here? And it's a long way to go.
I know, it's like 20 years more
exactly.
ago.
How long have you been in the States for?
It's on and off, actually. So almost somewhere between 15, 16 years.
Okay.
I have so many, how can I say, off years that I went back to Japan for 7 years and then decided to come back to Northern California again. So there's a little bit, gap in between.
And did you grow up taking English classes, or was that all new?
Let's see. When I was 9 years old, we lived in Palo Alto area for just 2 months. But it kind of gave me little hint.
A little hint. Did you go to school out here at that time too?
My parents just put me into a local elementary school that nobody spoke my language. So I just sat there being quiet, listening to everybody. And it just passed.
How old were you? About the same age?
7,
with
8.
that same experience, just being thrown into California.
Thrown into a room and everybody's talking. I'm just like, okay.
Exactly, just listening. And you gradually catch up with, I don't know how. But
yeah, well, I guess we're sponges when they're small,
Yeah. Did you say television was a big part of your...
Television was for me.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of shows. I used to watch the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
And then Steve Urkel, did I do that? And I used to laugh, when they used to laugh, because they used to have a automatically laugh thing,
Oh, the canned laughter.
And I'm like,
that's interesting. It kind of gives you cues as into maybe a different type of humor.
Now that I go back on the shows, I go, that wasn't even funny. But yeah, it was television, and then working with a lot of friends who were Americans too. That's what I learned most of my English. In school, I didn't learn anything. It was more socializing with friends and stuff, not paying attention. And that's basically maybe why I didn't do that good in school, because I didn't know the math and stuff and how they were explaining it to me in English, and I was just sitting there going,
history was so hard for me too. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yes, I know the feeling.
I think that's why I went into more art, non-linguistic format because of that.
And I see now that you have deep roots in puppetry as well, because it's just often tends to be a very okay, well, communication is hard verbally. How do I communicate visually?
Exactly.
And puppets are especially such a great form.
Now that you said history was hard for you, I remember when I was in high school, so we had to make a project, and they were talking about Independence Day from the United States and England. And you know how there were the red coats and the blue coats?
Uh-huh.
I didn't understand that, so I had to make a drawing. So I made a drawing with yellow coats and green coats. And the teacher was looking on
what's happening?
Where's the red coats and the blue coats? And I go, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, it's America, this color, England, this color. I'm like, oh. I just thought it was a drawing. So my coats were green and yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
It stands out.
I know.
In a good way.
Yeah, so.
Oh, that's incredible. I love it. Did you start illustrating first, or is it many things working with fabric when you were young? What kind of opened that door?
When I was young, I think I've already determined that I work something about art. Mm-hmm. But as a child, it's interesting. I didn't know how to draw. So
you did?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I wasn't
never
good
quite
at
got
it.
that.
But for some reason, 3-dimensional thing was, I don't know why, it was like, oh, I'm interested in. So like creating little patterns out of origami, those are kind of like, curious. How to make 3-dimensional shape that I'm imagining using very flat paper. Those are kind of my way to play around with shapes.
Do you think your dad being an engineer kind of,
highly possible.
like you have, because that is something I have tried to figure out, sewing and it just doesn't happen for me naturally like that. But for you see these things come out and like, oh, wow.
It's more like a construction, like how to make this happen in 3-dimensional. And you figure it out by problem solving.
You like that challenge. Mm-hmm. I love it.
My mother, for example, she never liked sewing. So I didn't really catch, sewing skill from my mother's side. I just thought that, well, I need to glue this one fabric to the other one.
Yes.
How do I do that? Oh, there's a thing called sewing. So that was like one problem solving for me instead of learning like the whole world of fabric and sewing.
Yes.
So it's different approach.
Back in Japan when you were young, like a teenager, what was fun? Like outside of that, like did you have a social world? That's
a challenging time, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Education in Japan is different, right? I mean,
it was
there's like
more
really
like
strict,
cramming.
and there's like like a lot of study, like almost the whole day, right?
Exactly.
That tends to be the culture, like the pressure.
I think, especially
success.
When I was a child, it was more about like getting into better school and things like that. And around that time, I think I also had a hard time understanding what's going on because I was just back from United States. I'm like, well, how do I socialize and get along with like normal people in the real world? So that was already challenging. So
yes. Yeah.
I had a hard time.
Yeah. Well, this is where you find your people later in life, It's interesting what came first before we even get to the puppetry, because I'm always curious how people find puppets, find puppetry. Did you kind of go into design and sculpture? Was it through school or just becoming part of
what I'm interested in?
A little bit? Yeah.
I think 2D, 3D art was always in my interest. And during that time, I had a little bit hard time working very diligently with sculpture, and suddenly I found things called performance art and theater. Like that sounds really cool because it's very kinetic. It has 4-dimensional with time more than 3D. Yes. And I totally got into that. And during that time, I think I got introduced to dance, which is a very big step for me to understand, wow, language is just one part of communication.
Exactly. Movement is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And before we go to butoh, because I want you to be able to explain it's a very small percentage, especially in the States, that really understand butoh, but in particular, but going through dance and performance dance, were you taking structured dance classes, like Western type of dance classes? Did you take modern, contemporary, ballet, any of those type of things? Or was it just kind of naturally came out of performing first?
It was a little bit in between, but probably because I was in college in actually Sonoma State.
Oh, right over here in Sonoma State? Okay, yeah.
There was the really wonderful teacher called Scott Wells. I think he's still active as a contact improv teacher.
Okay, yeah. I've heard of him, but I have heard of that class.
So that format is it's a very improvisation based, but also has lots of martial art perspective in it to learn about safety and learn about communication through contacting other people, floor, yourself.
Yeah.
So that was a structure that I learned first as a dance format.
I think contact improv, I just took a little bit of it down in Marin many, many years ago, and we did some performances, and it was you really got to know, it's almost like you're speaking non-verbally, but where are you going when you're connecting? But also, when it comes to a bigger, like you're not stuck with just that person, you're speaking with that person. But I also found that it was different too when you were performing in front of people, because you also got to involve the audience and not just be sucked up in this two-way conversation that can get real small. Does that make sense?
Yep,
You have to involve everyone else so they're not, what are they doing back there? So they're involved kind of in the conversation as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, understanding self and partner, and also understanding about your spatial side. Those are two things that you gotta learn.
Yeah, and through performance art especially, you can really read a room. After a while, you become very intuitive as to audiences.
View.
Exactly what's happening out there. Wow.
Just so helpful for, in general. Like
in life.
You need to see things around you, not just straight front.
Yeah. Something I feel like scares me so much. Gerardo, do you find that with like kids these days? I feel like they are so unaware of their surroundings, probably because of the phone.
The screen in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. My son is the same.
Yeah.
7-year-old. He's just walking sometimes, talking to me. He's walking backwards. He doesn't know what's back there. I'm like, be careful, man.
I know. You get so worried of how, we made it, but I was also hyper aware of the outside world that you kind of learn through teenage years of what is going,
dangers.
Yeah. We're just going to have to throw them out into a different country too. That's when you really learn. You got to be aware of your surroundings.
That's why I send my kids to Mexico.
Exactly.
Every year. Go and figure out buddies.
Yeah, exactly.
My son is always sending me pictures like, can you believe they're doing this over here? I'm like, yeah. I grew up over there too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's my childhood.
Yeah. It's weird for him because when he goes over there, when they have a party, they actually close the streets. They don't care about party. They don't go and ask permission to like, we're going to have a party. We need to close the street. No, they just put chairs, tables, and you're not going through that. Yeah. Wow. And my son is like, can you believe they just shut the street like that? I'm like, yeah. He's like,
I love
and
that.
they also put like 3 speakers right next to my window. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm like, I know.
That's what's happening there.
Yeah. So in Mexico, when like Christmas, around Christmas, each neighborhood has their own party day for the month. So the next street will have a party, but you're not invited. You have to be around that neighborhood only. So they close their whole thing, and nobody's allowed to go except them. And they'll pitch in to have a party for the kids. It's mostly for the kids. Nice. So they have piñatas, bag of sweets and stuff.
What month is this?
December. Nice. The whole month of December. So, but that's what we call posadas.
Okay. All right. Posadas was born out of that.
Yes. So that's what we do. And my kids are like, this is so different. I'm like, I know. Enjoy your life here, sir.
Awareness is open now.
Yeah. I always tell this story because when I got here to the United States, I remember the first time I went to school and I was walking into school and he's like, hey, you're not going to get breakfast? And I go, what? He's like, yeah. If you stand in that line, you get breakfast. What? So I stand in that line and I got a free meal and I'm like, I'm not missing school every day. I'm coming to school every day. Because in Mexico, we never got, if you don't have, money, you're not going to eat. And that was it. So we didn't get those free meals like they do here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in Mexico, if you don't have money for your lunch, you don't eat. So
the cultural differences are so different. I mean, it's such a big meal, a social thing, and we all do it differently. When you came here as a young child, did you bring your own food to school?
My mom needed to cook, a little or prepare lunch, which is kind of unusual for her because in Japan, usually elementary school or junior high-ish, they usually have, what is this called? A public lunch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But mothers don't need to prepare anything. So
really?
It was really new for her. We have to prep things.
You have to prep your peanut butter sandwich.
Exactly. She learned how to, do those things.
That's really interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I went back to Japan, like high school, my mom prepared me all kind of like American style lunch, which was very unusual for a Japanese student to bring it over. So it was like, as a child, it was very embarrassing to bring over like peanut butter sandwich with banana. Like, what's going on with this kid?
Yeah.
Like, it was natural for my mom.
Was the food in Japan, like their lunch, really healthy?
They are very healthy. Like mothers do prepare lots of, tiny little bento things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my mom never liked those things.
My daughter loves bento boxes.
They're well prepared.
Yeah, they're well prepared. I can say
I love them too.
Yeah,
I know. I love them too, but I don't want to prepare them every day.
I know. I know what you mean. Yeah. I grew up kind of in the same way you did because I went to school in the South. But my parents were macrobiotic and vegetarian and super hippie. So it was like homemade brown bread that I loved when it came out warm, but it was super embarrassing to take to school because it would crumble. This is the South, so everything's like, they're like, what? Didn't understand a fried tofu sandwich. And my parents thought anything went on spaghetti sandwiches, bean and cheese sandwiches. Everything went on the crumbly brown bread, right?
Man.
Or lentil soup. So you get it in some way. Now that's comfort food, So what's kind of your comfort food? That do you have like from Japan that translates here, or what's your go-to?
Do you prepare a lot of Japanese food in your home?
Actually, I don't. Like, the last time that I cooked even rice, it's, I don't know, like half a year ago or something.
Yeah.
I'm so bad.
Wow. But you still eat it, though. You go out and eat Japanese food.
Sometimes.
What food do you like? Because you seem like a hummingbird. You're always flying around and
running
like
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Living on air. And that's great.
Sweetwater.
One thing is probably like many Japanese do think as a soul food is onigiri, which is rice ball. It's not rice ball, just rice ball. It's like how you, fold the rice in a very right timing and right pressure with right amount of salt.
Yes.
I don't know what.
And it's probably different for each.
It's mother's
family.
love.
Yeah. Oh, delicious.
I don't know what that one is, but yes, that rice ball.
My mom made those. Of course, we were in the South, so they're just called fried rice balls.
Fried rice.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Exactly. What about in Sonoma? What do you like here?
You live in Sonoma?
I do.
Oh, nice.
I mean, all the veggies are so great and fruits. Oh my gosh, you can't.
I love
compare.
fruit.
You like the Watma strawberries that are out now?
I mean, right now, especially, everything is getting better and better with seasons.
Yeah, exactly. I was just at the farmer's market this morning. All kinds of stuff.
Beautiful there.
Spring peas coming in, strawberries, fruits. I even saw lemon cucumbers, which is really early for lemon cucumbers.
I love those.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a fruit guy. I love fruit.
He does. Well, we are always recording around lunchtime, so no wonder we're talking about food. Okay, going back, you're getting into performance art, and when does puppetry come along with that?
It was actually way later when I was in grad school for costume design. So I was really more focusing on costume design for
theater and dance.
Those industries. And one production required me to design 6 giant puppet, which was probably like 8 foot tall giant puppet. And that was my first exposure for puppetry. And I thought that, wow, I think I'm in love with that. And I just went from there.
Giant puppets. And then went down. Wow. As far as costume designing, just kind of, I know you were a big part of that and working outside and theater and dance, that sort of thing. Did you say for a minute too that you were kind of in the fashion world for a while there?
A little bit, huh?
Yeah, kind of involved in that. What was that experience like? It sounds pretty.
It's quite fast. I remember when I worked with a fashion design company, Moschino, in LA, I was working for their, what is this, the fashion show?
Fashion Week.
Fashion Week, yeah. And I was very surprised how everything was so quick.
Yeah, it was funny because I asked you, well, we can't give a huge amount of time in the middle of Trashion, maybe like for all three of these outfits in this performance, maybe about 5 minutes at the most. And you're like, oh, that's nothing.
That was a lot.
Yeah, exactly. In hindsight.
Because I remember like those fashion design show, you only get like 30 seconds to walk one garment. I'm like, that's it.
So like 5 minutes, you're like,
Here, I'll
minutes was
take
like
it.
gorgeous.
Here, whip out the butoh. Let's go get
Like, I have enough time for butoh. That was gorgeous.
Yes. So butoh, we're talking about it, but I'd love for you to explain where butoh comes from. You know, I'm familiar being from modern dance world, and it's very beautiful. It's also very slow and sometimes hard for most people to wrap around the concept. But talk about this dance form and where it was birthed out of.
Yeah, it's still a little bit mysterious format.
It is.
It started around late 50s after World War II in Japan. Started by two dancers, Hijikata Tatsumi and Ono Kazuo. Those are two modern dancers that they started the movement. It was a dance format against establishment and any tradition, including Western and Japanese traditions. So it was very within the movement of Dadaism, avant-garde, people trying to move away from structured dance industry. And many forms do include, we talk a lot about ugliest side of humanities, like death, disease, difficulties, ugliness, disformation of human body. And it's originally called as a Ankoku Butoh, which means dance of darkness. So it talks a lot about those difficult topics, but through the kinetic experience, we can convert into art.
Yeah. I've seen a few, forgive me, I'm not sure what butoh companies they were. I saw them in Berkeley several years ago, but it does start out and it definitely kind of presents this little bit uncomfortable, but out of that grows kind of a rebirth and takes you through a whole process when you're watching a butoh thing. And it does kind of feel like a phoenix somewhat rising out of that.
Such a catharsis.
Yeah, exactly. And can you explain a little bit about the white, usually chalk-like makeup that is used?
It's usually used for kabuki theater people too.
Yes.
Very traditional one. It's called shiroko. Usually white water-based powder. I mean, it's what is it called? Cake.
Yeah.
That you pounce around your body. And it brings dancers into like non-beings. It's almost like seeing dolls or dead bodies. So it separates you from this realistic world, make you bring it into ethereal understanding.
Yes. And that is definitely a lot of your work is kind of based there a little bit, but also and ethereal, I think is a great way to describe that. So you started incorporating costume design, butoh, performance art. At some point, and I think it was, 2018, I saw that you had performed out at the Hollywood...
The Fringe
Festival, right? Which is fascinating. How was that experience? Did you start practicing on your own, choreographing, just experimenting, putting all of these elements together? Was there some encouragement in schools or scenes to do this? And
so it was an interesting time. Actually, I was still in around probably the transition in between from costume design to puppetry. The school didn't really like me being in costume design, doing a little bit weird things. So I was still experimenting, like, what can I do in this world? And two animators in LA found me performing on stage, basically being naked and working with puppetry in white. And they thought, look, she's weird. We can work with that. So
yes, you found your people at the Fringe
exactly.
Festival. Yeah.
So they found me and we started to work together to create a very experimental theater, animation, butoh, puppetry work.
Amazing.
It started around 2017.
Wow. Do you have video from back then?
I think
that people would be able to find?
There is a website that I do have lots of still images.
Yeah, I saw some of that. What is your website if you want to share that with everybody?
It is naopuppet.com, naopuppet.com.
Yes, exactly. So I see some interesting stuff. Wow. Is there anything more? I was going to kind of graduate into the puppetry scene that you find yourself in Sonoma and how you got up here. But anything from just that time, were you living in LA at the time?
I was still in San Diego, and also I was already in Northern California. So I actually traveled to LA every time I had a production, which was a little bit challenging too.
When you were living up here, was it Palo Alto area? Like where you grew up?
It was in closer to Novato area.
Oh, okay.
I stayed there for a while and commute over there.
I used to teach over there and dance.
Great.
So, where I learned a lot of my modern stuff.
Oh, okay.
With Sherry Rawlinson. She was part of the College of Marin, but we were like the weirdos that danced modern style, learning Cunningham and all kinds of technique out in the one campus way out Ignacio, where it used to have. Yeah, so we were mainly out there doing our weird stuff as opposed to the rest of the College Marin ballerinas and that sort of thing. So
there's also Anna Halprin's Institute, which I went to one program too.
Yeah, I was familiar with that, and I think she even did a workshop when I was down at College Marin, but I never got quite into that. But there's definitely...
It's a very process art based.
Exactly. I love that. So here we are, right? As you keep on going, you're finding yourself in all of these costume scenes. How did you find Sonoma? Good old lovely wine country Sonoma.
I know.
Yeah.
It was through actually the Puppeteers of Guild in this Bay Area.
Oh, yes. That is something else, folks. I forgot to mention. We are having a puppet festival the first weekend of August. Exactly. And that is mostly through the San Francisco Puppetry Guild, right? Is it San Francisco or North Bay in
San
general?
Francisco Bay Area Puppeteers Guild.
Okay.
So it's like covers
excellent
whole area, because next one is Seattle and LA. So between those areas,
so it's pretty big
covers
area. And up here, we are blessed to have Lee Armstrong, who runs Images in Motion and is a big also did that kind of what brought you up to Sonoma.
Exactly. Yeah, she recruited me.
Yes, Lee is a special person. She's done a puppet festival here before. We will have her on the podcast this summer. Now we're talking more puppetry work and all of your skills. Are you building? Are you filming? Are you performing? What's kind of tying into the Sonoma Images in Motion?
Puppetry in Images in Motion in Sonoma, I mainly work as a fabricator. So I make things.
Interesting.
Sometimes it gets a little bit into design and mechanical part too, because usually you need to understand how things are moving or working.
I can understand from our puppet Oscar. He had such a big mouth because I did not fabricate him. Eric Jackson and his big hand made him in the first part of the work. So I couldn't understand for this whole year. I gave him the personality and he became the community center puppet. Aww. But I always had a really hard time navigating his mouth, right? Because I know you're just supposed to really use your thumb so you can see their eyes, right? It was so interesting. Anyway, Lee fixed that. So Oscar's back in action for the summer outreach.
Wow.
Haven't heard from that guy.
I was going to bring him in when we interview Lee, but I didn't want to overwhelm
that'd be
great. So it's fascinating, a lot of the fabrication that goes into it. Even like the kind of related to Trashion, like chopstick arms sometimes, but you create puppets out of all sorts of things. And I'd love to lead into your Trashion outfit of the story of it and the dragon, what it was made out of, and just kind of go in that way of the story that you are presenting and we want to bring a little bit further. So talk about this concept you have as far as the women and just all of it.
It's all about women, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the entry for Trashion Fashion was originally started from the project that nowadays I call it Sonoma Procession Project. It started with listening to local women's stories through yoga instructor Lisa Willett and her group.
Yes.
She has a very strong women's community or network.
She also owns Community Supply, folks, a fantastic store that features a lot of work by local artists.
And all beautiful goods made by sustainable fashion. And yes, through her, I started to meet different women in this area and listen to their stories and responding to them. It probably took a few months to receive inspiration from their stories. And one day I decided, I think we're going to make a costume and create goddesses that they're going to walk on the street. And that was the inspiration to start with. And I needed to, so I needed to make this happen. What can I do? And then I realized that, there's a thing called Trashion Fashion that I can enter. So that was the beginning of creating characters for the entry.
And the 3 characters that you have towards this procession, maybe you can talk a little bit about its different stages of womanhood, really, and kind of tying in the Year of the Dragon as well.
Exactly. So yes, the project was created to celebrate the strength and beauty of womanhood.
Nice.
And when we talk about women, and if we bring in one woman on stage, I always feel like I'm limiting to present the whole spectrum of womanhood. So
dimensional and complex.
Complex.
The boys are tuning out, and that's okay. It is a mystery.
Exactly.
We are complex.
We're very complex, and the moon cycle, it always changes. So at least I thought that I need 3 characters to represent one female or one womanhood, which is very common in different cultures. Like it's called Tridevi or Tridevi. Like Indian culture, there's 3 goddesses, Kali, Sarasvati, what was the other one? 3 goddesses presenting one female perspective. Also in, I think it was Irish culture, there are 3 phases of womanhood: maiden, mother, and crone. Are considered as one side of womanhood. And I really liked the idea that 3 women are representing the fullness of woman.
Yeah, because that is the fullness of life. A lot of that has to do with stages and aging, but I know that there was more to that as well that you kind of brought into that story. As far as how did you bring in the dragon portion? Folks didn't see this. You can see this on SonomaCommunityCenter.org or go to Trashion Fashion Sonoma on Instagram or Nao's your Instagram as well. Talk about the dragon. That was incredible. And how did you tie that into the story of, it wasn't so much the womanhood, but the goddess in the middle of life, or chills.
Well, it's the Year of Dragon is this year, which is really beautiful way to represent that symbol into the entry too. But also, especially in Japan, when we talk about dragon, it's not about like evil, strong creature that a knight has to, slaughter.
Right.
It's more about the very strong superpowers. What is it? Supernatural? Superpower.
Yes.
Entity that's like beyond our understanding, that is connecting between earth and sky. So most of the time, like shrines inside of mountains are considered to devote for a dragon god.
I can see that too, because it is possibly a mythological creature, but so if it's designed in the imagination, you always see it leading from the ground up into the sky. So I see that relationship of story there.
It's connecting heaven and earth. Lightning or water or river.
That's strong. Another element in between. I love that.
So I thought that that's such a beautiful symbol to represent the balance between heaven and earth, or something soft and strong, or something between male and female, or femininity and masculinity.
Yeah.
So that was the symbol that I really wanted to bring in, the strength of womanhood.
Fantastic. And some of the materials you used were fascinating. I know that you made a whole thing of pants out of ties using, even though it was bed sheets that you had lying around, you basically did a lot of origami work creating, is it the obi?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. That was amazing. And then for the crone outfit, you made a whole kimono. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. It's a big gown.
Yeah. But then I was fascinated as well of the young maiden that you had basically created this whole, was it plastic or what did you use to create almost, it looked like a beehive of a skirt sort of,
Yes, that's a plastic bag.
Yeah. And it looks like
it's crocheted.
Yeah, it's crocheted. It also looks like when you take the 6-packs off of cans, it looks a lot like that, which everybody, it should be up through June for a while as well. You can come to the Sonoma Community Center and see these outfits displayed on the second floor of the community center, your Trashion Fashion outfits. But I know we're getting close to wrapping it up. I want to talk about where you want to go with this story and elaborating it, what your dreams are for turning it into a performance, more of a performance in the future. Am I right?
In community.
Yeah.
So I'm envisioning that this is very interdisciplinary project in community. So this is not exactly my work representing what I want to do, but I'm more interested in this as a collaboration with other people or within community. So it's very open for open conversation and very developmental, which means I don't have an exact goal intentionally, but I'm more curious how people are interested in and wanting to do something in a very diverse way.
And I think we're looking at doing some workshops soon.
We are.
So when this comes out, that will be very soon. So, and you're talking about kind of opening that conversation. People will be doing these workshops, but really it probably will graduate into building a community for this bigger conversation we're having. And what are the two mediums that we would be exploring in those workshops? I know, but you say it in your words. Yeah.
So there are 2 workshops combined.
And we're looking at June 7th, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Friday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the first one is creating a crown made out of upcycled materials. So
excellent.
You'll do a little bit of hand sewing to create little, symbols.
Yeah.
And little flowers and made out of fabric scraps. And we use recycling material coming from basket weaving materials. And we create a wearable wreath.
Yeah. In time for summer solstice.
Exactly. So very seasonal things that you can put it on your wall or wear it, which will prepare you to participate in July 4th parade also.
Yes.
Because the phase 2, the second workshop that is coming right after that crown
same
making, the same day workshop is a butoh workshop that will also introduce you how to play with your body, and also that will prepare you to participate in the parade.
Yes. Now, no pressure. You do not have to butoh dance in the parade, but you'll feel more comfortable knowing where that is, because contact improv is I'm sure some of those concepts are kind of born into it, but just getting comfortable in your body and expression, even if it's not directly, it's a butoh workshop, but there's so much more you can take out of it as well.
More.
So trying to make people have access to it to understand that.
And it's open to all levels. So it's not limited to, dancers.
Yeah.
If you're very new to dance, come over. It's going to be so much fun.
And so it sounds like you just met up with Lexi. Was that 4th of July related conversation? I'm so excited. So we will do the 4th of July. It's like a touch on puppets last year, but I think we're looking at incorporating more elements this year for 4th of July. This town of Sonoma goes off. So we want to bring the best we can. And magic is the theme this year. So what a great year to try and Year the Dragon and the magic of puppetry and everything we do here, really, of the arts. So, and going forward, there may be more continued conversation, right?
Hope so too. Okay. It's expanding. The dragon is already here, so they're waiting for new dragons.
Yes. Will you be here for the our puppet thing? Oh, God.
The festival?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Anything else you would like to say now? A little bit about like dreams and schemes and whatever you would like to say in the future?
Well, I'm waiting for more goddesses and gods coming towards this procession project.
Yeah.
And we're going to have fun on street.
Exactly. And if they want to reach out to you, because I think it would be the creative worlds out there I know you're looking for possible funding and grant work to continue with this. And
that's necessary.
It is much needed for all these projects. And it's important to keep the work of avant-garde and the work of, there's a space here for everybody. And I like to keep the artist perspective in it. But how would they reach you?
My website will be probably
the best.
Great way. There is also a contact form on my website.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what's your website?
It is naopuppet, NAOPUPPET.
That's right.
.com.
And visually, if you're just scrolling social media, I know you're on Instagram. What is your handle?
Oh, yes. So there's another website and handle name.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah.
There are two ones. The other one that I work is called Nunozu, NUNOZOO. Nuno means fabric in Japanese. Mm-hmm. So it's a fabric zoo. So that's my Instagram account and
Excellent.
Also website.
You can also see these fabrications at Community Supply. Very amazing animal. That's a whole nother conversation in the animal realm,
exactly.
Animal puppet world. Now, thank you.
Now, thank you very much.
I know.
Thank you so
this
much.
Is fascinating.
Quick question now. Is it true that Japanese have the best jeans?
Jeans?
Yes. I saw a video. I saw a video that like they have these really cool jeans over there. And I was like,
wait,
where can I get those?
You mean like jeans to wear?
Yeah,
or
jeans
like,
to wear.
Oh,
yeah,
I thought you meant
No.
Jeans of
like,
living.
No, like Levi's kind of stuff, but they got their own brand over there.
I know that there is like one region that makes very high quality fabric.
Okay.
I think it's called Kure City. And I think that probably relates to that region.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that have a lot to do with shibori? Maybe
I
the
think
dyeing?
they used to, or still hopefully use the real indigo. But somehow
we had some indigo plant like 7 years ago. It was incredible. Indigo farmers from Japan that came out.
Oh, wow.
And, their hands are blue. They're just dyed blue constantly. And they basically fostered the indigo plant in a big garbage that we had here. We grew it and had this workshop with them. It was fascinating.
Wow,
fascinating.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. We did paperwork
Also, I just
with
saw a
them.
video of Japanese doing like a printing with fish.
Yes, gyotaku.
What?
Yeah, it was really cool actually. Like they got this big fish, they clean it, and then they dry it, and then they put this. I'm pretty sure it's not no chemicals on the paint or anything for the fish.
Paper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they just paint the fish with a bunch of colors, and then they put this paper on
Gently
top or
put
something.
on
Yes.
it.
And then when they take it out, they pat it, and then they take it out. All they do is they go back on the eye to make it really real.
Mm-hmm.
Is this?
It's just
are these fish
awesome.
alive or
No,
dead?
It's already gone.
So you're basically printmaking with a real fish
Yes.
scales.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think Kelly will do that?
I think
here?
Kelly's doing one. Because I'm a fly fisherman, and she asked me if I can catch fish, and I'm like, I usually just put
No
my
pressure.
fish back,
No pressure.
But yeah, that was really cool. I saw that the other day, and I'm like, man, the fish look real too, like the printing,
Yeah.
the colors and everything.
Wow.
Look really cool.
That's fascinating.
It's a technique, that people use it for transferring information from engraved script on stones also.
Oh, interesting.
And actually one of my friends did it on my body too.
Oh, no way.
Oh, so you had
The butoh dancer. You paint your body and
That must feel
paper.
a little weird.
It was really cool. Very artsy.
We're going to get to that workshop.
Right?
We'll do paper first. I do have to say, though, I've been looking at some of the websites, some of the fiber art classes that are coming out of here and many other things. We have some pretty wonderful Japanese cultural classes that people are very interested. That's one of our the camp. The kids love that the best. That is the Japanese.
I think they have Japanese in cooking in that one. I think.
Yeah. So exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Maki at local Sonoma Exchange or something along those lines set up. So
cool.
Anyway, it is wonderful to just have more perspective and have you here on our podcast. And I feel much more calm when you're in the room.
Oh, thank you. Me too. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well,
thank you very much.
Happy spring, and look for everything you need to know about all these classes and events and now on our SonomaCommunityCenter.org. Thank you.
Molly, take care. Pleasure. Bye.